This is a lesson I've wanted to put together for a while now to demonstrate a few of the ways that I practice piano. The first part of this lesson is combining two rhythms. This is to help simplify the concept of playing with both hands at once. If you have one rhythm with the left hand, like, and a different rhythm with the right hand, like, and you need to play them at the same time, you might get confused trying to do it and think that playing piano requires some crazy level of multitasking, but it's actually easier than it seems once you learn how to put two separate rhythms together into one combined rhythm, and use both hands to follow that one new rhythm instead. Now you can do this in your head if you already have a solid understanding of how to count timing in music, but you can also use sheet music or a computer program to sort it out visually so you can look and see exactly what that combined rhythm is going to be. And that's what I'll be doing here. So going back to those two example rhythms, the left hand is a very basic 1, 2, 3, and the right hand is 1 and 3. And being the space between each count in quarter notes. If you don't like using and, you can count in eighth notes instead. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So the left hand plays on 1, 3, 5, and the right hand plays on 1, 2, 4, 5. Now here's how we're going to combine them. We're going to look at each unit of time and determine if there is a note being played there or not. Whether it's with the left hand or the right hand, we'll deal with that later, but for now, we just want the rhythm of all notes together. We'll count it in eighth notes. So in the sheet music, we can see that there are notes being played on counts 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. On a piano roll, we line everything up the same way, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's the combined rhythm, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So forget the 1, 3, 5, or the 1, 2, 4, 5. All you need to know now is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now that we know the combined rhythm, we have to look at which hands are playing each note. Each count is going to be played by either the left hand, the right hand, both hands, or neither. And you don't need to worry about which notes they are yet. This is just to practice the timing. So the first note we see here is played by both hands. So just tap something with both hands. The next note is played only by the right hand. So altogether, this is going to be both right. The third note is only the left hand. Altogether, it's going to be both right, left. The fourth note is only the right hand. So altogether, it's both right, left, right. And finally, the last note is played by both hands again. So altogether, it's both right, left, right, both. So repeat that over and over, starting slowly if you need to, and gradually getting faster each time. Once you've got that down, try playing the notes with that timing. It will take a little more practice, but you might notice the different rhythms aren't throwing you off as much anymore. If it starts falling apart, you can practice slower or in smaller chunks, like one note at a time again, or go back to tapping the combined rhythm by itself some more, and eventually that will be the rhythm your fingers will want to play naturally. So let's learn an actual song with this method. This is Pumped Up Kicks by Foster the People. Let's skip ahead to the chorus. Simplify it for this lesson, and as you can see, the bass line has a very different timing than the vocal melody. So I'll run through the process again to show how it works here. Now, this note right here is a pickup note, which means you're going to play it before you start counting 1 for the chorus. So this is 1 as you count in your head. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then the combined rhythm here starts right, left, right, right, both right, left. Right, left, right, right, both right, left. Right, left, right, right, both right, left. Then try to play the notes with that rhythm. Right, left, right, right, both, right, left. And then this next measure also has a new challenge. The combined rhythm here is going to be both right, both, neither, right, left, right. So you're going to count for 1/8 note here while you play nothing, and then play right, left, right. Both right, both, neither, right, left, right. Both right, both, neither, right, left, right. And from there, you just keep practicing that same process until it all comes together. Another thing you'll need to practice in piano is jumps. A jump is when you move your hand from one position to another very precisely through muscle memory. This can apply to a specific distance between notes, a change in finger positioning, or both. And the key to mastering this is through repetition, just going back and forth from one position to the next. But first you need to identify where each jump will occur. So if one hand has to play these 3 notes, followed by these 3 notes, that's going to require a jump because you cannot reach all 6 notes from one single hand position. You could play the first 4 notes here, and then jump to the next 2. You can play the first 3, and then jump to the next 3. Or you could play the first 2, and then jump to the next 4. Usually there will be different places in the music you can choose to do a jump, but some will be easier than others. If your first thought is to play all the notes you can reach before jumping to the next ones, you might be overlooking a more ideal way to play it cleanly. And once you decide which fingering feels the most natural, it's very important that you stick to that. You want to play everything using the same fingers every time, because if you switch which fingers you're using, you'll start getting mixed up and using the wrong ones half the time. So figure out which fingers you want to use and stick to it. And once you figure out which jump feels the most natural to you, you have to practice it over and over again to drill it into your muscle memory. Moving a whole octave precisely in an instant might feel difficult at first, but the more you do it, the more your hand will want to move that exact distance naturally. And the distance is just one part of the jump. The other part is hand position. So right before the jump, leave each finger at the last key it played, and try to memorize exactly how your hand feels in that position. Tense it up, relax it, whatever works to help you internalize exactly how that hand position feels. Then jump to the next set of notes and do the same thing. Place each finger on the next note it will play and memorize that hand position. Then switch back and forth between those 2 positions. You don't even need to play the notes, just focus on the position of your fingers. You can play them all together like a chord if you want, and jump back and forth between the 2 chords, but don't try to play them too fast. Make sure each finger is in the correct position before you play them, because you don't want to train your fingers to hit the wrong notes. The more you play it wrong, the more likely you'll do it again. So try to prioritize precision over speed. After doing this long enough, you can try to play the whole sequence of notes again, and you should notice it becomes much easier because your fingers will automatically want to go where they need to be. Now let's apply this to an actual song. This is a classical piece I've learned how to play, but not how to pronounce the name of. It's the song that Charles Barker plays here as Skinny Pete in Breaking Bad, which is what inspired me to learn it, so shout out to him. Now let's look at this part of the song and see how you would learn to play it. The left hand starts on a B octave, so you'll just keep your hand there like that, while your right hand plays and then has to jump to reach the next sequence of notes. So practice the jump back and forth between those notes. And as your right hand plays that second E flat, your left hand will jump to C. And even though that's just one note over, it can still help to practice that, since it does require you to move your hand at least a little bit, and you don't want to accidentally move too far while you're focused on that right hand. Now moving on to the next jump, even though your right hand is in position to play this note again without a jump, you'll find that it forces an awkward jump to the next sequence of notes, starting with either your fifth finger or your fourth finger. But if you do the jump one note earlier, it should feel much smoother, because first of all, it begins the next sequence of notes with your second finger, which has much greater dexterity than your fourth or fifth fingers, and you can move your hand into position as you play the C with your fifth finger. So once you figure that out, you practice the jump. Then try to play each note. Learn the left hand jump that happens at the same time. Then learn the timing of both jumps together, with the right hand jumping one note before the left hand, because that's when we decided to move the second finger over into that next hand position. And once you're comfortable doing the jumps together, try playing all the notes together. After that, there's just one more jump with the right hand, two more with the left hand, and they're easier than the other jumps, but practicing them together would look like this. So putting it all together now, practice the right hand jumps, the left hand jumps, both hands together, and then all the notes together. So that's the basic process of practicing jumps, but if you're a beginner, it will still take a lot more repetition of each step. So remember to be patient and try using a metronome so you can start off slowly and speed it up little by little. Another method of practice I use is what I call bridging. Now there's probably already a term for this, I don't know, I just call it bridging because it's basically learning an overlapping section of notes as a bridge between two other sections you already learned to connect them together in your memory like a bridge. So if you learn one measure of music and then you learn the next measure, you should go back and practice the 4 beats between them for a smooth transition into that second measure. Like let's say you want to earn some street cred, so you start learning Changes by Tupac. You've learned the first measure, and you've learned the second measure, and you've mastered both parts, so you try to play it from the beginning, and this happens. And every time you try to play it from the beginning, that pause happens right at that same spot. And that's because, first of all, you're not using a metronome. And without a metronome, you're likely to stop or slow down at certain parts, which is a habit you want to break as soon as possible. And a metronome kind of forces you to not do that, or makes it very clear when you are. So we turn on the metronome, and we try again. And you can see that you're still pausing to adjust at that same spot every time. That's because even though you mastered part A and part B separately, you haven't practiced the part that links them together. And that's important because your brain needs time to transition from muscle memory A to muscle memory B. So instead of practicing sections like this, you should practice in sections like this, because the overlapping areas will give your brain the time it needs to transition from one section to the next. So after mastering beats 1 to 4 and beats 5 to 8, you want to go back and practice beats 3 to 6 to that same level of mastery. Then you can go back from the start, and it should feel much easier to play through it all without any pauses or hesitation. Now, if you're learning a song slowly at first, then doing this in small sections will work. But the more you increase the tempo, the longer sections of overlap you'll need to practice in order to give your brain enough time to switch between each part. And once you've mastered every part of the song like this, you should be able to play it from beginning to end without any pausing or slowing down, with or without a metronome. So that's it for the lesson, which only covers the technical aspect of learning piano. If you want to learn the more creative side of it, like music theory and songwriting, I'd recommend watching this playlist by Michael New, which I've linked in the description.